Hello there and welcome to my YouTube channel, Julie Nail Crafts. So today it's time for Dawn and Julia Create, woohoo! And I've set the challenge and I will be completely frank and honest right now, and Dawn already knows this, I'm totally cheating. So I've set this challenge. It's something that I've wanted to do for a while, but it's also prep. So this will also be one of the demos that I'm planning on doing while I'm on Hachanda. So if you've watched on Hachanda and I've referred you over here to get the full demo, then welcome. This is Dawn and Julia Create, and what we do is we take the same stash, the same brief, and we both have very similar taste, but we always end up with very different results. We have quite different styles when we're actually crafting, which is lots of fun. So I said to make a mixed media project, it had to be a circle one. So this is a piece of cardboard, and I've literally just drawn around a bowl and cut it out freehand. And then these little ones I've drawn around an egg cup. We were to use the JMC Designs Steampunk MDF and Embellishment Kit. We were to include bubble wrap. We were to include thread. Yeah. So I am going to just start building this now. So the first thing I'm actually going to do is we can also use any texture pastes that we happen to have in our stash. And then when it comes to colouring it, it's a bit of a free-for-all really. It's kind of like any acrylics or sprays or anything that you happen to have. So I'm going to be using stuff that I have to apologise for, that I now at the moment film downstairs, so my daughter is getting very excited watching Mandalorian. So hence the exuberant screaming. So this is the Suspended Circles JMC stencil, and I am just going to put some texture, just splosh that on. This is all about getting texture, so I'm not looking for perfection here, I'm just looking for sort of breaking the blank page a little bit. This is the Pretty Gets Gritty White Texture Paste. So I'm going to put a bit on there, and then I'm just going to, whatever's left, put a bit on here, just so it goes across the whole project. This is the first, and then what I will tend to do, I'll go and clean this in a minute, but I'm just going to take off the excess off my stencil using my palette knife, and I'm just going to whack it on because any added texture anywhere will be most appreciated. Okay, so then I've got my little circles that I've created, as I said, drawing around an egg cup. So none of this is perfectly circle, but I'm sure we'll see that we're kind of, there's a few crafty elements in here, but we're also using a lot of recycled stuff that's just knocking about the house. So these, I was thinking, I wanted a few different circles because I'm thinking bubbles, because we're also doing Under the Sea theme. So we are using the two Under the Sea stamp sets from JMC Designs as well. So this is kind of why I went circle. And you know, this is a project I have had in my head for, I cannot tell you how many ridiculous amount of months. And quite often I do that. If I've got a project in my head that I really want to try, I make it a Dawn and Julia Create challenge because I know I'll actually do it then. Whereas quite often a lot of ideas just live in my head and never get any further. Which probably might be, you know, wonderful to the rest of the world because, yeah, my head's a scary place. Right, I am looking for my gel medium. So I am just going to get that now because I'm wanting this project to last. So I'm just going to pop a bit of gel medium on here. And what's wonderful about gel medium is it literally sticks anything to anything, which you will see as I am building this, because I'm going to be putting loads of different sorts of things on it. Yeah, I am indeed. Right, let's get that all on there. Then I was going to pop this cog about there, I think, but I need a little bit of cardboard. Excuse me while I swivel. Oh, something's happened to my iPad there. That's alright. As long as it's not recording squint, we're fine. It's just a little bit strange for me looking at myself on a funny angle. Right, I'm just going to grab a little bit of cardboard and stick it on 2 of the spokes of these cogs. I'm not cogs. I'm not even bothered about it being overly, if it shows through, because we're going to have a lot of stuff going on, so if it shows through, it shows through, but we've got all sorts of textures going on eventually, so I'm not worried about being particularly precise about it. Sorry, I'm doing it off camera. It's because the camera that I record from a camera, but it's connected to my iPad, and something funny's happened with the iPad. I might just pause and fix it so that it's on its side as I see it. And it's just means I'm kind of getting my hands off screen a bit more than I've been wanting to do. Right, so I'm just going to pop that down there. And that is my start. And let's get some thread, because that was one of the requirements as well. Actually, I might just take my cog off a little second. This is the other thing about gel medium, is it does give you wiggle room. I'm just suddenly realising it would have been easier to put the thread down first, because I want some underneath the cog and some over the cog. So what I'm sort of thinking is, quite often we think of cogs as like a real steampunky thing, but actually it can be lots of things. So here we're using it for under the sea, and you know, if you think about it, you get shipwrecks and things under the sea, and you can have all sorts of things down there, and it all gets beautifully oxidised and stuff like that. So that is what I'm thinking with the thread. Sorry, I'm kind of doing that off camera again. I'm going to stick this thread down, and then I'm going to sort myself out so I can actually see what I'm doing, because it's really weird. It's like trying to do something blind. Right, let's get some more of this. This all looks a bit of a mess, but eventually it'll sort of, as I said, look like cogs or bits of a ship that have all got now seaweed and all sorts of lovely texturey things growing over it. That's how it's working in my head anyway, and I am going to go with that. Right, I'm just going to pause the camera and I'll be back in a sec. Right, so the next thing I'm going to attempt to put on is some bubble wrap. This is actually really chunky bubble wrap. Try and rip some pieces, because I want it, as I said, I'm wanting it very sort of organic and loose, and I'm sort of thinking about what something would look like if it's been down the bottom of the ocean for ages. So, and again, I was thinking bubble wrap because it's the circles. I have a bit of it because it's circles. I've kind of really gone all out with the circle theme. Now again, I'm going to just lift up my cog a little bit, because actually that maybe could have done with going under there a little bit. Let's get it right under. There we go. And I'm going to pop a bit of gel medium. And as I said, with gel medium, it really is a wonderful thing, because it literally sticks anything to anything, which you can see, because right now we have thread on here, we've got bubble wrap, we've got cardboard, we've got MDF, it's all going on, and it's all sticking absolutely great. Right, I'm going to stick another prop underneath this one here, because it's just falling down ever so slightly. Oops. Right. So let's put some gel medium on both sides of that. I'm just going to get that under there. Okay, right. And I'm going to pop, kind of wanting that to sit more like that, I think. And this is the base. Right, and then I'm going to shorten this a bit more, and let's just have this going across the bottom there. So again, I'm going to just tuck underneath slightly and just stick the bubble wrap under there, like so. And just think, all the texture on this is going to be amazing. I'm going to put a bit more of the thread on top actually, because I've just realised all the thread's now underneath that a little bit, so we'll get some of it, but I do quite like the idea of the texture of the thread, so I'm just putting a little bit more on there. At this state, when you're doing any sort of mixed media project and you're cobbling bits together, you're thinking textures and things. And quite often at this stage it just looks a little bit awful. It's when you sort of gesso it and it all looks uniform. And right, so in the steampunk stories embellishment thing, there is also these cabochons. So I'm going to stick a couple of those down. Again, just I'm kind of going with the circle theme, but I just think these little glass cabochons in amongst that bubble wrap could be quite fun. Put one up there. Okay. So pop one there. Like so. Right, and then I've got some cogs that we will build up. So let's get some cogs from my little, some odds and ends here. So all of these embellishments and bits and bobs will be on the show on the 16th. I believe Dawn gave a sneaky peek of the brand new stuff that's coming on as well in her video. She told me she let you all into a sneak peek. Right. Let's get a few more of these. A few different cogs together. I think this is going to look fabulous when it's all coloured up and embellished with some under the sea stuff. There we go. I want another one here. There we go. Oops. And let's have some coming up here as well. Got one there. Let's get a couple more. Sorry, rustle, rustle, rustle in the camera. Let's get another one there. And I probably want another one as well. I've got another pack over here. So I've actually got a bigger cog there, so I'm just going to take this little one off, put that bigger one down, and then we can overlay the little one on top. And this is what I also love about mixed media, is it's really good to try and sort of have things overlaying and tucking underneath each other, and there's like lots of interest. It looks more like it's meant to be. When sometimes when we've got beautiful things, we kind of almost want to see it in all its glory a little bit, and then we end up spacing it all over the project, and then wonder why our project doesn't look the same as other mixed media projects that we see. And quite often it is down to that, just having things sort of looping round, peeking out and things like that. So that's everything stuck down. I am just going to, before we let it all dry and do its thing, I am just going to grab some marble texture paste. Again, this is pretty, gets great. You wait till you listen to this. It's just awesome stuff. Like, wait till you hear the crunch. You can actually hear the crunch. You hear that? Just yummy. But again, I think it's perfect for especially the under the sea theme. You think of the sand, and probably should leave this to dry a little bit before adding it, but we'll manage. As I said, I apologise for all the added noise. My daughter's singing away. It's nice though. It's nice to hear her singing. It's a shame. She comes home from school the other day and was like, we're not allowed to sing in school anymore. And I'm trying to explain to her why. It's just such a strange way of life at the minute, isn't it? Especially for the children. I do feel sorry for them. Right, I'm also going to try and fill up some of the gaps within the cogs. Push that down. So we've got some interest going on in there. Yep. Because again, if you just think about something that has been lost down the bottom of the ocean, it's going to be covered in things growing over it and sand and stones and all sorts of things. So I just think this is a perfect way of adding some fabulous texture. I just love the sound. There's something really satisfying about this texture paste. Just the sound of it is amazing. Okay, so we've got that. And then I think I'm going to put a little bit more around these sort of bubbly bits. Or corrugated bubbles. They don't really look much like bubbles in situ like that, but as I started, that's what I was thinking. And then just to sort of make it not so bottom heavy, as it were, I'm just going to put some in the opposite corner, just around here. And we'll drag that down a little bit. And just clean off the palette, because as I said, texture anywhere is fabulous. And now we will just leave that to dry. Okay, so that's my project kind of dry. You can kind of still see that some of the transparent, some of the gesso hasn't quite gone transparent yet. So it's not quite dry. But it's dry enough for us to get on with gessoing, and I want to get it gessoed before the morning so that I can get on and look at this brush. I'm looking at this, but I don't want to wreck it. It's my new Dina Wakley one. I'll get over it quick. Shall we try? It's just, I'll have to remember to clean it. Yeah, I'm just it covers a big space at once. But I'm a bit concerned with some of the textures being loose, that it might wreck it a little bit. But you know, I was wanting to have a play. Now let's get a proper brush. Oh, that is a proper brush. It's a very proper brush, but you know, it's my new toy, and I don't normally buy expensive brushes because I have a tendency to wreck them. So yeah. But I've got a big, I've literally just finished filming my live on Julia McNeil Crafts, my Facebook page, and we were making the MDF hat, but with the brand new stamps. So that was fun. So I've got a big pot of brushes next to me that all need a wash, but before I clean up all of that, I thought I'll just jump on, gesso this up, get this all ready for the morning, and then we will see how we go from there. It's probably going to need a few coats, but it'll be fine because I have a little production line going. Now, see, I told you I was cheating. Look, I've got this one. And I've got this one. And I've got this one. See, so when we say that, you know, it takes us forever to do our prep for Telebox, it is because we literally have to prep it so many times, because you don't have the time to do it like you would on the channel here. You have to you know, you've got a very short space of time. You know, I might only have like 7 minutes or something to put it together, because quite a lot of the time is taken with the presenter going down the you know, looking at all the products, which obviously is important. If people are spending their hard-earned cash on it, they want to see it. But yeah, so yeah, you have to have like, and then I did this, and then I did this, which is great, but it just takes an awful lot of prep. Which is partly why I did say to Dawn, because I knew that I would be pushed for time, and yeah, I knew I had prep to do, so I combined it. Why not? What'll be fun is Dawn is going to be sending what she makes into the Telebox, and I'll be able to show them both side by side on the show, which I think will be a bit cool. But the one good thing is, because this is going to take 2 or 3 coats of gesso, don't worry, I will not make you watch, I will not, you know, make you watch me put 2 or 3 coats on, and I'll not make you watch me gesso all 4 of them. Um, but what I can do is, because I do have a bit of a production line going, I will be able to sort of move on to the next one, and whilst I'm on that one, this one will be hopefully dry enough for me to come back and give it a coat. I reckon 2 coats will probably be enough, but some of these areas here where I'm struggling to get in behind all the details, they might take a little bit more effort. As I said, there is still a bit of movement in amongst that texture paste and things, but yeah. So one of the great things and the reasons why we gesso is partly because it brings it all together as a piece. You know, that stops looking like random bits of cardboard and plastic and metal all shoved together now. You know, so it unifies the piece colour wise, but it also gives an even surface, because obviously the product that you put on next, the paint you look, it's not going to work the same on plastic as it does on wood, as it does on glass, as it does on, you know, it's going to look, it just wouldn't look right. That actually might be a interesting side-by-side comparison to do sometime, actually, just to sort of show the difference. But yeah, it wouldn't really look right. So it also, as well as it uniforming the colour, it also uniforms the surface. So now every single surface is going to respond the same way to the next colouring product that we put on, which gives a better overall look of the project. So I am probably going to just carry on with this, and I'll be back with you in the morning when we colour it all up. Okay, so we have a dried piece. All the gesso is nice and dry, and now I'm going to paint. So I've got a mixture here. I've got some Dilutions and some indigo blue. I will show you roughly what I'm aiming for. So this is the one that I've prepped for TV, but I have done this one by mixing explosion powders with transparent gesso, because I've got the explosion powders on the show, so I'm needing to demonstrate that, but I didn't actually put that on my list when I messaged Dawn, so I'm going to be good and stick to what I messaged Dawn. So I'm going to be doing it with these paints, but if you want to see how I did that, I did a video on 10 ways with explosion powders, so it'll explain it a little bit there, and you'll just need to tune into old Telebox. So that's on Monday. Sorry, I'm plugging the whole Telebox thing quite a lot, but I'm not meaning to, it's just that that's what's in my head right now. Right, so I am going to start, I'm wanting an ombre effect, so I'm going to start off with this one from Indigo Blue. This is does have a bit of a sheen to it, but I'm thinking that everything will have a bit of a sheen to it once it's ended, because I'll maybe just dry brush it with gold or something along those lines. So I'm going to be creating an ombre effect. I have discovered that this, because you know I was lazy and I wanted to get 2 coats on, especially as the paint I'd made up was sort of like handmade paint. I didn't want the paint on my palette that I'd just made up to dry before my project was dry, so I heated it. But I tell you, the bubble wrap does all sorts of, it's a bit like playing with shrink plastic, you don't quite know what it's going to do. It sort of moves and warps quite a bit as you're using it. Okay, so that's one. Where is my painty rag gone? I have a whole load of them now. Right, so I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to grab the blue. So when I'm doing ombre, what I will do is I will not start immediately where the line crosses. I will start just a bit below it and get all of that on first. It's really interesting painting over the bubble wrap. I don't know how Dawn will have found that. I'm sure Dawn will have absolutely loved using some of these things. She will definitely have, we say this every time though, so I think we both kind of know that there'll be exposed cardboard of some description. I know that she'll have absolutely loved using the bubble wrap, because she's one of those people that likes to sort of use what's about and what's available. So I know that, you know, I don't know if she's used bubble wrap on a project before. I've not seen her do it, but that's not to say she hasn't. Because I don't live in her craft room. I mean, I would like to. I'd like to find a little corner just to... I mean, she's got a corner for lady. I'm sure she could have a corner for me. I tell you, when this COVID nonsense is over, we will definitely be meeting up somehow. Right, so I am, now that I've done that, what I'm going to do is now move, so the paint's a bit thinner on my brush now because I've kind of got rid of it. I'm also having to sort of get behind. I probably will give this 2 coatings because you are having to sort of get in the nooks and crannies. So now I've done that, I'm going to move up into the other stage and back down, and move up and down. And what I am gradually doing there is bringing that blue paint, the original paint, down into the blue, and the blue paint up, so we get a much smoother transition rather than a hard line. So I'm going to do that. Okay, so I'm going to grab some more of that initial paint, because obviously I was doing that process bit with the blue, so now I'm just going to repeat it again but with the initial paint. So I'm kind of just going up and down where the transition line is. I'm also trying to get into all these nooks and crannies with the plastic. It doesn't really matter because I kind of think a little bit of white showing with it under the sea. See, because I can, you know, in the camera I can see those bits are a bit whiter. Okay, so we've got that. Now I'm going to clean my brush again and get the black. Okay, let's get the black. And I am going to, again, I'm starting away from the join. I'm getting all of that on first. And as I said, it'll do 2 things. It means I can get a better blend, but it also means by the time I'm sort of doing that transition period, I've kind of, the bulk of the paint is on the project, so we're not going to get the harsh line. So I'm sort of working with the remnants that's on my brush a little bit. It's quite interesting trying to get in all these nooks and crannies, but as I said, it's not worth worrying about it overly, to be honest, because we are going to, this is the baseline. So like, there's going to be lots of characters and embellishments put on top of this. This is kind of like the base layer. So it is good to do this while it's wet. So now you can see that I'm kind of going up into the blue, which is just sort of making a sort of slate grey blue layer, and then I'm pulling that back down. So it's just trying to get behind these. I'm trying to get behind them as much as I can, but as I said, there'll probably be like an octopus or a saying or something over it. So, and you know, white flecks in an ocean, it kind of works. But I'm just trying to do it as best I can. So that's me moving up into that layer. Now that is kind of creating a bit of a harsh line, but that's when I will, oh, there's obviously a pocket of white gesso there. It's come out, that's fine. It just all sort of blends colour anyway. Okay. So we'll get that down, and then I will grab some of this blue again. Oops, and just pull it down over the black. And again, it's just to make sure that the transition that we have between the colours is nice and smooth, and we get a fabulous ombre effect. Okay, so let's leave that to dry. I will most likely, actually, I'm probably going to, let's heat dry it because I want to show you the cool things that happen. I was going to say I'll leave it to dry and come back, but I'll get the second coat on, and but look, watch because it's quite interesting watching the plastic react. Sometimes the bubbles from the bubble wrap pop right up, and sometimes it all sort of shrinks away. So look, you start to get movement. Plastic reacts to the heat. It's very interesting. And also, if you do force dry it like this using a heat gun, you're going to get a lot more bubbles. But considering we are doing an under the sea theme, It's just the way it all moves. It is so cool. It is really fun. If you've not worked with bubble wrap on a mixed media project, I highly recommend it. It is great fun. It sort of shrinks and expands and all sorts. It's great fun. Yeah, so because I'm force drying it, I am getting a few bubbles, but because we're under the sea, we're doing an under the sea theme. Bubbles works, doesn't it? So I'm not going to stress about that too much. So let's just get all of this dry. And yeah, so I'll just keep doing that. This didn't do anything overly interesting that you could see, but yeah, I find it quite fascinating. So basically I'm going to dry this. I'm going to do the exact same process again so that we've got a second coat, and I can see a few white gaps. Try and get as many of those covered as possible. And then I will be back and we will do some dry brushing. So that's it. I had 2 coats, and I have force dried it with the heat gun. As I said, partly because I really like the that's texture paste, but I actually really like the bubbly effect. I think it works perfect for under the sea. So I am now going to use some Pretty Gets Gritty Crackle Gel. Honestly, this stuff is the best thing in the world. I really need to do a proper review on it, which I will do maybe in a couple of weeks, because this week I'm prepping for going and next week I'll be packing. But after that I'll have to do a proper review. But honestly, I have never found a one-step gel that crackles like anything like this. It is so good. And also it comes in the most awesome colours. So and it's also semi-transparent, so if you are using it, you can kind of use it. So I'm putting some of it on with a palette knife, but actually I think I'm going to spread some of it with my fingers as well, which will give it a thinner crack, just because of the style of project. This is sort of like an added to an already fairly heavily textured piece. I might actually get a brush. I know Angie B Cards and Crafts, she did a painting with the Crackle Gel, which is cool because it, like, everything crackled, but it was also a picture. So like most Crackle Gels, you'll get thin cracks where it's thinly applied and thicker cracks where it is more heavily applied, but it's just an extra element of texture, and I'm hoping that this Dawn doesn't view this as cheating. We'll find out, because she'll soon find out if she gives me a naughty step challenge. But personally I think this is under the remits of what do you call it, texture paste. It's adding texture, so it's working for me. Right, so I'm going to put some of that on in various places. As I said, normally I would apply this with a palette knife, but it's just because I'm going onto an uneven surface that it is proving to be a little bit difficult. I'm going to try this lime green on it as well. Normally, if I'm using Crackle Gel or something, I will leave it overnight, but it's, okay, what time is it? It's about lunchtime at the minute, so I may, ooh, look at that, see a bit of lime green on there as well. That's nice. And again, I think it's all just going to add to this very under the water feel, especially on the black there, just touches of it, and it'll have a big crackle in it as well. And then we will emphasise it all again more with dry brushing. So I just think that's a bit cool. I love that lime green. That has given a fantastic look. Oh, I'm so excited. I can't wait to see this project finished. I am a bit nervous about trying to demonstrate it in about 7 minutes, but you know, I will set myself up for these challenges. Right, so I've got a bit of the lime green one on. That's looking good. I don't know whether I want some more of the blue now. I don't know whether I've gone a bit heavy handed with that lime green. I'll just give my brush a quick wash, but as I said, I will do a proper review at some point of these two, of the Crackle Gels, because they are just a bit ace. Just actually blending these colours together, but like I was doing before when I did the Ombre Effect. Just like so. So some of this is quite thick, so we'll see if I'll be ready by this evening to start decorating up. If not, I'll be doing it first thing tomorrow morning, hopefully. But that's okay, because I've not got any of my characters coloured up. They're stamped out, but they're not coloured up, so that'll give me time to work on that. But this should give it a lovely crackled effect. Well, it should do. The secret's in the name. I'm going to try and get some of that texture behind it there as well. So that is me for the moment. I think what we will be doing after this is a little bit of dry brushing, just to sort of really emphasise that texture so that we can see it a bit more, and then it'll be decorating it up. So it'll probably, yeah, soon. See you soon. Okay, so this is how it's looking now. Look at that. It's just dried just gorgeously, and we've got this amazing crackle, which I'm not sure how well you can see, but hopefully we'll see it more as we emphasise it. So now I'm going to do a little bit of dry brushing. So I'm just bringing in my little full palette thing here, and I've got some acrylic paint in like a metallic pale green and some gold. Now I'm going to try, I always say I'm going to go canny, but I really am going to try and go canny because I just, well, oh look at that, that's a nice colour. Right, I do want it to be quite a light dusting, so I'm just going to get a bit of that work into my brush. I've been watching Ira Lynette, so I'm going to work that into the brush a little bit. And it's better to hold it further back, and you almost don't want to brush like that, but like almost on the flat of the brush, so that it's literally just picking up the raised area. When you go like that, you tend to pick up a lot more. So it's kind of, I'm almost going with the flat of my brush instead of the point. And in doing that, I'm literally just catching the raised areas. Now I am going to go into the point into this stuff in here just because it's lower down, but it has some amazing texture. Now you can see the difference there. It's gone a little bit heavier there, and that's because I'd come in there and so it's not the tip, it's the flat. And getting, as I said, the flat, we're just picking up those raised areas. Now all of that thread is just really coming to life. It's just a little bit gorgeous. I have to say, you know, I mean, I thought it would look quite cool, but I'm absolutely loving it. So yeah, I'm kind of going against what I just said, and I'm going in with the tip of my brush, but that's purely because of the angle of these things. I might have to put some more of that paint out, but I'll be switching between the green and the gold anyway. But this green has got a nice sheen to it, so it will work beautifully. I'm just loving the texture on that. So as I said, I'm really needing to sort of work it in. You want the paint about 3/4 of the way down your brush. And as I said, we're then sort of working with the flat of the brush along the sides, and then that's just going to, and I'm also not going in close, I'm not like this. I've got the brush quite far back, so I've got quite a loose grip on it, and all of that just helps to add to the fact that we just want a nice gentle touch. But I love these colours. I just think everything has worked so well for that under the sea look. But yeah, this is where I think like each stage gradually brings it together. Look, because I can show you now, because I've got so many of them. We've gone from something that looked like that. I mean, I know you've seen it because you've been watching the video, but just seeing it side by side, it really does show you the importance of just keeping going. Because quite often we can look at people's mixed media projects and think, oh, that's amazing, I could never do anything like that. But we compare this part with their finished part. And so it is just keeping going, because look how completely different that looks just with the layer of gesso, then the layer of paint, and now building up the texture. So it's actually quite nice. I mean, I know you can watch the whole video, but it's quite nice to be able to have the side by side comparison. I suppose that's one advantage of the fact I think I'm in the process of making 4. But this will be the completed one, so that if I run out of time, I'll be going in. Here's one I made earlier. The plastic has done some really cool, I mean the bubble wrap is, it's not stayed in the bubble shape, because I think because I've heated it so many times, as much as I would have thought of when I first did it, but I absolutely love the texture it's created. It really does give that sort of under the sea coral waves, seaweed, that sort of feel to it. The movement of it is incredible. Right, so that's the green. So I'm going to now, I'm just not even going to wet my brush. So again, working that colour in until it's about 3/4 of the way up the brush. So actually this is a bit darker, so that green did give a bit of a look, but a bit softer, which I actually like the softness. So I'm not going to put this gold in all the same places, but maybe things like the cog. Look at that now. So you can see the cogs are sudden. All the elements that we sort of, because you might think, oh, you know, you put it down and then all of a sudden you can't see it anymore by the time you've got the layers on. You know, you could see all those textures. Let's have another look, a little look. Okay. So we've gone from that, and then that, which looks much more cohesive, but we've maybe sort of, you might look at it and think, oh, but I've lost the texture of the cog and you can't really see it in there. It's kind of, it's there, but then all of a sudden look at the difference that dry brushing makes. You know, I mean, I know you're watching the process and it come to life before your eyes, but I think sometimes just seeing it side by side, look how different this one looks to that one, just by the difference of a little bit of dry brushing. Oh, I like doing that. I'd love to be able to say I'd be able to do that more often to show you, but there's no way I'd ever be that organised, quite frankly. But yeah, I'm glad that on this occasion I've been able to do that. It's added an extra element to my video, so I do hope you'll stay tuned for that and that you found it useful. Right, so that's all looking fabulous, and yeah, I'm seeing my cogs, I'm seeing my string, I'm seeing the corrugated card, I'm seeing the knobbly bobbly bits of that gorgeous marble texture paste. You are kind of seeing the crackle of the Crackle Gel. It has, I mean, we do have quite a bit of texture on this cog. So the Crackle Gel, and I love the fact the Crackle Gel is slightly green as well, because again it's just giving that real under the sea look, you know, that reflection of slightly green everywhere. Right, I just kind of want to get in there as well. Okay, so that is that. Right, what I may do as well is just be a little bit heavier handed and just go around the edge of this. I'm going to get a bit more gold on my plate just so that I've framed the piece. Right. Oops. There we go. So, just so that I've framed the piece. And it looks a little bit, I always think framing is important, and on this occasion I actually don't want to do it with my black pen. Partly because I don't think it will suit it, the colour wise, but also this was a hand cut circle. It's not going to be overly even, so having it sort of roughly and unevenly, the colour sort of roughly and unevenly framing it kind of works with that, whereas the black pen might just sort of emphasise the errors. So let's just go a bit heavier around here just so that we've got it framed. Okay, now I'm going to pull out, probably won't take us long now, but I'm going to pull out my stamped images. Now I had mentioned Curious Wonders papers, and I seem to have managed to make the entire thing without pulling them out, so yeah, I apologise about that. I can't even see me doing it now because I don't want to. So I think I said you could use it, so I'm going with that. I'm probably on the naughty step anyway, quite frankly. Right, so we have a little seahorsey. I think I'll put there. I kind of also sort of thinking about, like, obviously we're going to lose some of the background and we're just going to have to live with that, but I'm also trying to keep little bits that I want to. So these are all elements from the various Under the Sea stamp set. So I've kind of stamped these out and coloured them using my Copic markers. And now I will, I've got a little, yeah, so I've stamped and cut all of those out. Let's get some quite fancy out. I do have this thing for little things dangling. Do you know, I was colouring and cutting out earlier. Here's our Ollie. I don't think I'm going to use Ollie in this one, but I've coloured and cut them out anyway. So there's our Ollie. And then I was thinking, like, there's also a shell. It's like, we could have a little octocorn. That just makes me giggle. I really want to make a card with Ollie as an octocorn. Can we have a seahorse-acorn? Oh, actually, that would work. I'll maybe not do it on this. But yeah, unicorn. Unicorn's a horse, isn't it? And it's a seahorse. Who knows? Anyway, the connection on my thing has just gone, so I'm hoping that something weird was going on with my camera there. Yeah, so now I'm just looking at building the layers up on this a little bit, just to build a little scene, and we can see how we go with that. I do also have some little embellishments, but I didn't mention the embellishment things with Dawn, so I may have to save that till the TV version. You know, I'm most likely already going to be on the naughty step for something, so we'll try and we'll try and minimise the chances of that. I don't know whether to bring that down a bit. Right. Well, I like the seahorse there, so let's start with that. I'm also just going to grab another little bit of cardboard. Actually, I have thought how I could use the Curious Wonders paper. I might use it for a sentiment, actually, because there's sentiments on the paper pad, and the sentiment that comes in this stamp set is for the octopus. And I don't think I'm going to go for the octopus on this occasion. Right, let's get my little spatula out, and we will sort little Miss Seahorse, or Mr. Seahorse. I love colouring under the sea things because there's a real iridescence to most things under the sea, and as I said, this sort of overall reflection, you can sort of bring all sorts of colours in, because even if it's not in the creature, because there's a sort of iridescence with their scales and their skin, they tend to reflect, which just means when it comes to colouring, you can just, the world's your oyster, you can just absolutely go for it. Right, so I've popped some gel medium down for all of that, and then let's put another little lump. I'm really interested, because Dawn has actually had a sneak peek just at the very initial stage, because I couldn't help but show her my little lineup, and she already knows that we've gone in a very different direction, and so mind you, we always do, but so I know that we've gone in quite a different direction, so I'm quite intrigued to know exactly what that direction is, and see. I think it could be quite interesting to find that out. Yep. So now I'm just like taking all these little extra elements, and I'm just kind of going to gradually arrange them so that we've got a cluster of interest going on here, and we will see what occurs from that, but I think we're probably going to be pretty much as is, to be honest. And I'm also hoping that I will have saved myself enough of the little extra little bits that I've made so that I can make it again without having to do more colouring. Not sure that this stamp is going. Should we put another yeah, something like that. Okay, oh, have we stuck I've stuck that one down. Let's stick him back then. Right. And the little sea star. That means we're going to need another sea. So how many have I used? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm probably going to have to colour some more of those up. That's okay. I can live with that. Stick another one in there. Right. Just peeping, just so that we've got an uneven number going on. So otherwise, I would find that it would bother me a little bit. Okay, and then maybe just a little shell poking out of there. And then maybe one up the top as well. Oh, I should have shaped these a little bit. Maybe I should have thought of that before I started sticking them down. There we go. Right, and then do I want one up here as well? I don't know. I think colour wise it would be useful, but shape wise it's throwing it off. So I'm not overly sure unless I can just chop into it a little bit and just have the edge poking out. So it's just to bring that colour into another place. So it's not just a random squidge of orange without it anywhere else on the project. So I feel that I need the colour, but as I said, the shape's throwing it off. So if I just have it, there we go. So I've got a tiny bit peeking out there, like so. And we can just shape that a little bit more. Let's pop that on there. So, there we go. I like it. I like a lot. Right, let's, I think we're all okay with those. Let me see, I used 3 of those. I'm just working out what I'm going to need to stamp myself some more of those. But yeah, so I've got enough of those. And I need a couple more of these. Yeah, good to know. Right, I probably shouldn't be doing this whilst, you know, you're watching, but hey ho, I am sorry. Right, I'm going to just get a bit of this to add on to those sea stars just up there. I might have to send a sneaky peek of this to Lynette, because when I demo this I will be demoing the Pretty Fix Gritty products. Let's give this a little scoop. I am pleased I've worked out a way of bringing in the Curious Wonders though, because I did mention it, and then, you know, see when you've actually written the brief and then sometimes you find yourself not wanting to stick to your own brief, and then the other person's been really good and followed it. You know, and Donna is really good at following it, so, well, a kit part occasionally. Sometimes she likes to turn a 1-layer card into 3, but you know, I'm one of these people that can let things go. It's like I really can. Nobody would ever know anything about that or about the shade of green because I just let things go. I guess I'm nice like that. Okay, I have some of the Curious Wonders. One, I'm hoping that one of the decent things. Oh, what about this one? Every adventure starts with a first step, and it's the right sort of greeny colours as well. Perfecto. Perfecto. Okay, so let's chop this down. So we've got every adventure. We'll chop it there, because, you know, I'm going to want this coming down in 3s because I'm like that. Starts with, just so that it's not overly with a first step. I like that. Excellent. I do like it when you're making a project and it's going well and you're looking at it going, I like that. I mean, as Dawn was saying the other day in her live, there's lots of lessons to be learned as well when things are going wrong. But it does just feel good to be going, yeah, I like that. Right, let's just get, oh, I don't know if black pen was on the list, but hey ho. Scissors wasn't on the list either, and I'm pretty sure we've all used them. Black pen is an essential. It's not an extra, it's an essential. You know, it is part of your toolkit. So let's get that edged. I also want to draw little dangles there, but I kind of want them in gold. I don't know if I've got a pen that would do that. We'll have to see. Wire would be good, but wire wasn't on the list. Right, so again, I'm sticking this down with gel medium rather than my normal glue because we've got so many different textures and products. You know, we've got gels and paints and all sorts on there, so we're needing to make sure it sticks. And the one good thing about gel medium is it will stick anything to anything. You never have to worry, will this stick, because it just will. Right. Okay, so there we go. As I said, I'm just going to see if I have, I've got this gold pen here, but I'm not sure that it will. Let's give it a bit of a shake. I always wonder why my pens aren't working properly, and then I realise that I'm not following the basic instructions, like, you know, give it a shake first. I kind of almost just want to, I don't know if that's going to make any, see, I just don't think you're even seeing that over the texture, so yeah, they're just going to have to be floating. Right, let's clear the desk. Okay, so that is my circle mixed media under the sea themed project finished. I cannot wait to see how Dawn has interpreted this, so please do pop on over to Dawn's channel and check it out. I'm sure you will find it very inspiring because she is a total mixed media guru. Yeah, if you would like to see me wrangle with this live, I will be on Hachanda at 7 and 11 AM on Monday the 16th of November. But yeah, until then, keep crafting. If you have enjoyed it here, please do consider liking and subscribing, and I'll be back with you very soon. Okay, take care then, and goodbye.